Alright, welcome back to That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Anime Review episode number 16. This I'm viewing 3 episodes. Yes, 3 episodes of the main anime. Which pretty much in a way, means I have, not many episodes left to go for the series per se. I'm only on, covering episode 43 to 45. And that means, wow, you only have 3 episodes left to go for the entirety of Season 2. That's definitely true. Yep, now, for these episodes, they cover more Book 6. Episode 43 covers chapters 3 and 4. For 43 is still 44. And 45, it goes straight to basically start chapter 5. Basically, probably finishing the chapters. The first 2 episodes is mostly put this. The massive army. Now, Benimaru's mass army takes on Karen's forces in the first 2 episodes of this batch. I'm discussing here. Yeah, so they're sent out, and they do battle with them. You have the 3 Musketeers, the 3 Biscuiteers who volunteer to join the fighting, and the Snake Woman ends up fighting one of the fingers. We have the Tiger Woman fighting one of Malim's priests. Yes, they introduced them in episode 43. These are a group of cultists who worship Malim. No, I'm not kidding about that. These guys seriously worship. These are the Dragon Faithful. They are subordinates of Malim. Yep. Now, while the guy who's in charge of them, his name is Madare. He's voiced by Justin Douglas. Does a pretty good job voicing him, though technically this wasn't his debut. It was actually 41, just a couple episodes back. Yep. So, he caged with Sapira, and he basically is not breaking a sweat against her. Gabimaru is taking on his subordinate. He's able to beat me pretty easily. And as for what the third one is up to, he's off fighting 2 members of the Harley Quinn Alliance. Voiced respectively by, you have Monica Real and Sunny Surratt. And you have Sunny Surratt voicing the big chubby guy, and Monica voices the adorable pink hair one. And you might be curious though, do at any point these 2 take off their masks they wear? No, not really. And of course they fight for a pretty good period of time, and then they withdraw. Despite the fact these 2 could easily continue on for a little bit, they decided to withdraw because what happens, they're portion of this episode. And in the case of the Dragonkin, they actually join forces with Rimu's force because they're friends with Malim. Yep. And so something though. And then you have the Snake Woman taking on Yakum. That's his name. I'm trying to remember her name here. Ambus, yes. And she goes through her beast form this episode. And oh my god, this woman's so freaking hot. And she's voiced by the awesome Elizabeth Maxwell. Yeah, no wonder why this character's the way she acts this episode, man, this sounds a lot like a Beto. And it is. It's the voice of Elizabeth Maxwell voicing her. And her first appearance in the anime was actually just that long ago. It was actually a little while ago. She's been in the anime for quite a while. As for the other 3 Biscuiteers, Sophia is voiced by, if I can get down to scroll down thing here for her. Come on, thank you. She's voiced by Terry Doherty. I'm not familiar with her voice acting. And as for Fabio, he was the first one in his first appearance. He's voiced by Stephen Fu. And he only first showed up in his last season of the show. Yep. And these 2 episodes have a lot of references to books 2 and 3. When the Orc King, Gallard, basically mentions about what happened during events book 2. And of course there's mentioning of book 3, where they fight Cabras again, when Yakum is forcibly transformed into this creature. And it's up to Benimaru to finally beat him. Of course, We also have with her Abbas, but she fights Yoka for a while. And of course, he starts to play dirty even after there's a whole like, like, oh, I'll pay 1-on-1, and yet some of the subordinates in the comment, she's like able to take him out though. Like if Gabiru shows up, basically helps her out, and I'm like, I would not be surprised though if as a thank you, she might give him a kiss for basically helping her out. I wouldn't be surprised because Gabiru's probably somebody like, man, it's like Gabiru basically saves all the good looking ladies in the series. I mean, first it's Shuon, now it's a beast, now it's a snake woman, a beautiful snake woman, mind you. Yes, but of course she's given orders by Mandalore when the thing started. Like, if you can't fight, if you're in battle, you can't win. Withdraw immediately. And Mandalore just shows up, basically slices this thing in half pretty easily. And of course, Maline's forces, basically her people join forces with River's forces, and that ends the battle. In the case of 45, most of this one is basically Shuon, Shine, and Habaru. Yeah, the three Oni. They go and infiltrate Kamon's castle while he's out away in this banquet. Yep. So they go there. And then they get lost. Well, basically they're trapped in the fog. Can't exactly find his castle just yet. And then they come across a bunch of freaking skeletons. Like, what is this? A bunch of Overlord stuff? Yeah, it's like we have a bunch of Overlord references here with a bunch of skeletons. Having Elizabeth Maxwell here, basically doing the same impression she did when she was Albedo. Yeah, playing a smoking hot woman. Though in Albedo, she's a succubus. Abbas is a snake woman. Yes. Though she's not a succubus here, but she's still a beautiful woman. Eileen's got a hand in the fact she voices a beautiful woman in the anime. I've seen pictures of Elizabeth Maxwell. She's like a very lovely woman. I personally never met her, but I would love to meet her in person. Yep. But in the case of this, like they take out one of the other fingers, the index finger. Yes, the index finger. Yokum, I believe, was supposed to be like I think it was the middle finger. Yeah, Yamazu, who was the middle finger. Yep. Oh, yeah, and they mentioned that Merm, who was actually one of Kamen's other fingers, she was the ring finger. Because she's a woman, and a beautiful woman at that. Yep. And as for the index finger, who basically is a walking skeleton. Wait a second. The way his head is as a skeleton reminds me a lot of one of the Arankars from Bleach. Except this is a lot more thin of a skeleton than that one was. And it turns out he's being clergyman. And Shion basically just easily beats him. Not like in 5 minutes. It takes him like half the episode, basically, this battle. And of course you have Haru taking on a swordsman. You have Shion taking on a freaking dragon. Well, this is a death dragon, the strongest one. After she beats him, like tells her how awesome, like they need to find new faith, and of course, apparently he decides to surrender to her after he beats her. Like, man, like we beat you. Why are you still moving around? Like, we would like to worship the person you basically who you admire so much. We like to worship. Like, what's his name? Rebrew. We'd like to meet him. Okay, and in exchange, I'll show you the way to the castle. Yeah. And I'm like, did the animators basically take, or at least maybe the creator of the book, did they take inspiration from Kamon's castle from Castlevania? Because it looks like freaking Castle Dracula. Yeah, that is something in a nutshell. Yep. Then we finally have Ryuga. Of course, basically, before she left, she actually shoot out where she basically is making a new outfit for Riru. And of course, basically, Shion and Ryuga basically just like, oh, looks so awesome on you. Yep. And of course, they get details about the Air Demon Lords. Valdor mentioned he's actually fought a couple of them. The one basically, they're bothered to fight because he just didn't think it was necessary to fly up there because he thinks it's like too, not basically at this time. And Ramirez is like, yeah, that's all completely true about him. He mentioned about a female vampire, which of course is ruled by a male vampire. There's stuff related to him later. And then, of course, we finally had this gate pop up in Rimuru's office. And, of course, by the way, before this, Rimuru does develop a sort of a artificial body for Trini. So, basically, she can easily leave the forest because, basically, she's a dryad. She doesn't have much of a form anyway, just basically pure energy. And they put her in this, basically, this golem that he makes. That, surprisingly, he made it feminine because she's a woman. And of course, it just happened to be Trini, the character voiced by Jimmy Marceri, to actually go out with Remus and her other golem. Then, of course, Rimu apparently is the first one to show up, and everyone else shows up. And we have this brief confrontation between, not physical, basically a verbal confrontation between Rimuru and Leon, who, of course, this is actually somebody, aside from Clayman, he has a problem with. And he's like, got a problem with me? He's like, yeah. Oliver Suzuna. And he's like, she's dead. I know that. If you have a problem with me, come to my castle. I'll send an invitation. And he was like, I'll come with you, with bell. I'll be sure to come with bells and whistles. So that's something to potentially look forward to. That has not happened in the actual book itself. Oh no, that probably happens later on. And finally, after all the Demon Lords show up, of course, when Rimuru sees Guy Crimson, who is the Lord Doctor, like, wow, this guy is very intimidating. And in the case of some of the other ones, basically, it's like, okay, the giant basically is very intimidating. And then he sees Clayman, and the episode ends, like, right after, of course, he smacks Malim again. Of course, when he sees the Sky Queen, he's like, wow, because she's a hard, like, he almost, like, drools. And then, of course, Gian just basically brings her back to reality, which I found to be so hilarious. Yes. And then, of course, Malim shows up, like, oh, look, she's okay. And, of course, he does notice basically about the necklace around her neck, which she didn't have that last time he saw her, which was back in season 1. That was last time. Well, technically, in terms of the anime, it was basically in the, I think it was like the second OVA. They had the second OAD. In terms of the canon stuff, it was that he has not seen her in person since. Not since, like, the end of book 3 was the last time that he saw her. So this is the first time he's seen her in person in 3 books. At this point. And, of course, when he sees Cameron after he smacks her, he starts powering up. Basically ready to punch Clayman for basically hitting her. And that's how the episode ends. 3 damn good episodes. And I can't wait to discuss the last 3 episodes of the series. But that will happen later. Guess right now, I got some other videos to do besides this one. Basically, I'm going to do 3 comic corners and 2 manga reviews. Next one is going to be a comic corner. Yes, a comic corner. And it's mostly all digital. Yep. You find what books they are. Next video, okay? Next video. Bye.